Students at Lebron James I Promise School in Akron, Ohio have terrible math scores, but why? How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about students at LeBron James's I Promise public school in Akron, Ohio, who have not passed one math test in the past 3 years, and they've not tested proficient in the state math test since 2018 and 2019, back when this 8th grade class was in the 3rd grade. Now, there's actually reasons for this, and I got to kind of defend LeBron and the school. I don't think it's 100% their fault. I think the school is doing the best they can. These kids had a lot of problems from the beginning, and it's kind of hard to just turn them into just amazing students at all. I think they can be good students, but not amazing students, and math is probably going to be an issue for a long time. And before I get into why I think that, let's go ahead and get into the news clip. If you want to see it info without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But you see the headline right here before we get to the video. Akron's I Promise School responds to low test scores. We're here for the ups and downs. And then the subhead, Ohio's report cards confirm I Promise proficiency scores are among the lowest in the state, with the school's inaugural class from 2018-2019 particularly struggling. All right, let's go ahead and check it out.
Tonight, there are growing concerns over student performance at Akron's I Promise School, which is supported by LeBron James. First, we should note that WKYC Studios has a partnership with the LeBron James Family Foundation and offers resources to provide opportunities for I Promise students.
Now, let's pause right here. Just to be clear, the I Promise School is a public school. LeBron helps it with external funding, but it is a public school. I think the way it was, there was an I Promise program throughout all of Akron schools for challenged kids that had a lot of problems and, just needed some extra help. And rather than having them spread out throughout the city, they put them in one location. All right, so that's pretty much the history behind that. Let's keep on going.
I Promise opened in 2018 as part of the Akron Public Schools District, but receives additional funding from the foundation. Tonight, there is criticism of the school after state test scores showed none of the now rising 8th graders scored proficient in math. Lydia Sparra reports.
As I promised, the school backed by the LeBron James Family Foundation gets ready for the new year, the Akron School Board reflects on the past year in last Monday's board meeting.
I'm looking at the current 7th graders, and so for 3 years, not one child passed the state test in math, not one for 3 years.
It is discouraging.
It is discouraging. A chart shows for the 22-23 school year, no 7th grader passed math, and only 1% passed the previous school year.
Has there been discussion or ideas as to why there is such a difference between the results in ELA and in math?
There are several factors, according to Stephanie Rosa for the LeBron James Family Foundation. She tells me the kids in IPS are the bottom 25 when it comes to learning and in the Akron School District. Most are at risk. She says the pandemic affected the children when it came to learning.
Now, okay, the kids, before they get to I Promise, they already have problems. A lot of them come from households, probably not the best households in the world, not a good home life, and they're already struggling with education. So you're not dealing with a magnet school with gifted children. You're talking about kids that need extra help. It's almost like special ed. So you're not talking about a school full of gifted children at all. That's not what this is.
They required in-person teaching, a more hands-on approach, and she says they come to school hungry, sometimes homeless, and always in need. But that pandemic is over now, and they are pushing forward, says Rosa. In a statement, the principal, Stephanie Davis, says, when working with students who are achieving below grade level, growth is as important as a measure of progress as proficiency.
I agree with that. I agree, because if the kids come to the school already testing below grade level, like let's say, for example, with the reading, I've said it before, if you get to, I think, the fourth grade and you're not reading on level, you're pretty much toast. It might even be the third grade. If you get to the third grade and you can't read on level with your grade, you're not really going to overcome that. If you can improve, you're doing very well, but you'll probably never get to excel. Improvement is what you want to do. You see, if you are in the fourth grade and you're testing like first, second grade, if you can get up to third grade, maybe the fourth grade, and be right there, then that's a success. That's a win.
Rosa adds, while they have been challenged, students are meeting the required benchmarks from where they began. And she adds, because the work requires a long-term commitment, hard work, and a lot of love and care. And with classes beginning here tomorrow at I Promise, the administration is vowing to be more consistent, have more positive energy, so their students could achieve greatness. Lena?
Okay, so that's that. Yeah. And the article is pretty much echoing what you just saw right there in the video. And of course, I will link to this in the description. But yeah, the students are behind. Of course, they don't really want to acknowledge that. But the reality is that these kids are already behind. And they were already behind to begin with. I Promise is not a magnet school. I Promise is not for gifted children. These kids have challenges. It's like going to special ed. So you're already behind. The goal is to get these kids to improve. And a lot of them, quite frankly, are never going to perform well in math. Now, I don't know what the actual end game is for I Promise. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a bridge to high school or college or anything like that. Matter of fact, hold on. We got some numbers here I kind of want to show. So third grade, 6.6 proficiency in English language arts. That's bad. 11.5 in math. Fourth grade, 5.9 in English, 9.9, and so on. Look at this. Sixth grade, 3.1 in English, 0.0 in math. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Now, I think what you see with these numbers as the grades go up are the kids that got into the program early. Okay, you're seeing the 1.0, 0.0. Now, if you go back, 11.5 in math, that's good, because that should carry out. These kids right here, the third grade kids, these kids should carry out and improve. But if the kids that are now in the seventh grade or eighth grade had the same scores they have right now, it's kind of hard to really improve that. It's just like when a child is young and they learn their first language. It's much easier to teach a child, a baby, a language than it is to teach an adult a language. Try learning Spanish right now as a full-grown adult when you have only spoken English your entire life. Or a better thing would be try speaking Mandarin Chinese right now as an adult when you've only spoken English your entire life. It's going to be a lot more difficult. But if you were a child in China learning Chinese, you know it. Like how we know English very well, they're going to know Chinese very well. That's just kind of what it is. So the moral of the story here is you got to get these kids early, get them educated properly early, and it's going to take an effort from everyone. You can point the finger at the school, but that's not really it. Money is not a problem. The school isn't the problem by itself. You got to have three main things, and I always say this when it comes to education. Both of my grandparents on my dad's side were teachers in Roanoke, Virginia. This is what they taught me. This is what my dad taught me, because obviously that's their son. And then they would teach him certain things at the house. You got to have good parents first. If the parents are non-existent or bad parents or on drugs, that's going to be hard because you don't have an environment conducive for learning. You have no books in the house. You have no home education. You have no discipline at all. So if you're doing homework, not doing homework, who cares? The parents are on drugs. They're not there. They don't care. There's no reading at home. There's zero education at home. So the parents are the first line of defense. Then the kids. You got to have good kids. but that comes from the parents as well, to teach their children manners, how to behave, and all that. You got to have good kids. Then you got to have good teachers. It all comes together. But the most important thing, the first thing, is the parents. Look, as I close, I'm going to say this. If you have two kids, right? One kid had their mom giving them flashcards, putting them in front of educational TV, old school Reading Rainbow, Sesame Street, before the whole LGBTQ Elemental P stuff got in the mix. When you're educating your kids early, when you're reading to them, singing to them in the womb, they're going to be better when it comes to kindergarten than the kid who had no parental involvement, no flashcards, no education, no books. All they got is music. They know all the rap songs. They know all the Moneybag Yo. They know all of the ratchet TV tropes. They know how to argue and put on wigs and makeup and stuff like that, but they don't know how to read at all. They can't tie their own shoes at all. They have no skills. So these kids come from the same neighborhood. They could live right next door to each other. They could be black kids or whatever, but they're going to have dramatically different academic outputs because of their home life. That's just how it is. So then when they go to I Promise, or when one kid goes to I Promise and the other one goes to another Akron school, it's going to be a big divergence at a certain point, probably right around the third grade. It's going to be a big divergence. You can't blame that on the school. You got to point first to the parents. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Who do you think's to blame for the I Promise school and a lot of these bad test scores? Is it the school itself? Is it the parents, the kids? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. These kids already had problems from the beginning. They were put into the I Promise program before it became a school because they had problems. So then when you bring kids that have problems academically, socially, at home, whatever, into one school and expect them to perform exceptionally well is kind of delusional. And to be totally frank, the end game, I don't know, but a lot of these kids are not going to do well academically. Going to college is kind of a waste. There should be some home ec programs, wood shop, auto shop, do stuff like that. Now, I'm not trying to say that if you're a mechanic or you cook, that you're somehow less. It's not even about that. It's about, hey, maybe trying to be an intellectual, sitting in the office, punching numbers. Maybe that's not for these kids. Work with your hands, do things like that. You can be trained to do things like that without having to be some kind of mathematician or some kind of super genius. My great-grandfather on my mom's side built 2 houses that still stand to this day with a 3rd grade education. This is what I'm talking about. You got to have these useful skills, these trades that can give these kids a career, a path forward, rather than trying to just say, okay, you got to be an academic. That's not for these kids. Try to do something else. Make it work that way. And if they don't do that, then I can say, okay, now we got a problem with the school. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.